The crystal chandeliers of the Grand Plaza Hotel glittered above me as I stood alone in a modest black dress from a department store, cheap by their standards, but elegant in its simplicity. Across from me, Amanda's perfectly contoured face twisted into a scowl. "Absolutely not," she hissed, lips painted with surgical precision. "Dad's 60th birthday is the social event of the season. You can't show up looking like that." She waved vaguely at my outfit, as though it were a bad smell. Beyond the towering ballroom doors, I glimpsed New York's financial elite mingling beneath more chandeliers and champagne. My father's birthday wasn't about family, it was a power move, another excuse to dazzle investors. My siblings never let me forget that. The invitation said, "Family only," I said evenly, touching the simple pearl necklace Mom left me before she died. "Family who understand appearances," Ryan added smoothly, adjusting the cuffs of his Tom Ford suit, the fabric catching the light like polished armor. "You look like an intern desperate for a first job." If only they knew, this cheap dress cost more than their mortgage payments. I just didn't wear my wealth like a logo. Being the chairman of VXG Global, one of the largest private equity firms on the planet, had taught me that wealth is measured in silence, not sequins. "Move," Amanda snapped, stepping forward. "Important guests are arriving." Right on cue, the revolving doors spun open, and in stepped Charles Wellington III, my father's oldest friend and longtime business partner. He spotted me instantly, his eyes lit up with recognition, and he strode over purposefully. "Madam Chairman," he greeted, bowing slightly, "I didn't realize this was your father's event." Silence fell like a thunderclap. Amanda's brows shot up, Ryan's glass froze halfway to his lips. "Charles," I said coolly, "how's the merger progressing?" "On track. Paperwork hits your desk Monday morning," he replied, though it's unusual to find the chairman of VXG waiting in the lobby. Ryan blinked. "Wait, what did you just call her?" Charles looked between them, confused. "Madam Chairman, surely you know your sister acquired VXG Global 6 months ago." Amanda paled like someone had slapped the contour off her face. "That's impossible," she choked out. "VXG is worth billions. 47.3 billion, last valuation," I said, "though that's likely to jump after Monday's announcement." They stared like I'd grown wings. The road to this moment began 5 years ago, after Mom's death. Dad buried himself in work and left the family company in the hands of my ambitious, short-sighted siblings. While they chased status and status symbols, I studied the landscape. With a modest inheritance, far less than theirs, I began investing, quietly, strategically. While everyone else poured money into flashy startups, I targeted undervalued industrial firms, hidden behind layers of holding companies. One deal led to another, success compounded, and eventually, I bought VXG. "But I thought you worked for some small firm," Amanda stammered. "She owns that firm," Charles corrected gently, "and about 30 others. VXG was just the latest acquisition." Ryan grabbed my arm, his Rolex digging into my skin. "Why didn't you tell us?" I calmly pulled away. "Would you have listened? You were too busy mocking my bad career choices to notice what I was building." The doors opened again. More power brokers entered, every one of them nodding in my direction. "Madam Chairman," several said with quiet respect as they passed. Amanda's expression shifted. The shock was fading, replaced by calculation, always maneuvering, always angling. "Well then," she said with sudden cheer, "we should update the seating chart. You belong at the main table." "No need," I interrupted. "I'm quite comfortable where you originally put me, in the back, with the unimportant guests." "But that's by the service entrance," Ryan sputtered. "People will talk." "Let them," I smiled. Some of my best deals started near a service entrance. Just then, a small group entered quietly through the side door. I nodded toward them. Speaking of which, the CEOs of 3 Fortune 500 companies, each of them notoriously camera-shy, waited nearby. "If you'll excuse me, I have some actual business to attend to," I said coolly. As I walked away, I could hear Charles explaining to my stunned siblings just how much power their poor sister really had in the world of finance. Inside the ballroom, Dad was holding court, completely oblivious to the drama unfolding just outside. He'd been too absorbed in his work to notice how his children had turned out. One daughter had quietly built an empire, while the others had constructed nothing but hollow appearances. My phone buzzed with a message from my executive team. "Merger documents are ready for final review." Should we proceed with Monday's announcement? I looked at my father, still oblivious in his corner, surrounded by his adoring sycophants. I couldn't help but wonder how different things might have been if he'd paid as much attention to his children's character as he had their social status. Hold the announcement, I typed back. Tonight's going to be interesting. The celebration was in full swing, crystal glasses clinking as New York's elite swarmed around Dad. From my carefully chosen table near the service entrance, I could observe the social dynamics unfolding like a well-practiced dance. Amanda and Ryan had quickly transformed their shock into desperation, working the room with frantic energy. They were name-dropping and pretending to have always known about my success, trying to capitalize on their newfound connection to Madam Chairman. Another message buzzed in. Wall Street Journal requesting a comment on Monday's merger. Also, your father's company's Q3 reports just came in. You were right about the discrepancies. I sipped my champagne slowly, remembering the real reason I'd kept my success hidden for so long. 3 years of meticulous research had uncovered a secret my siblings had conveniently ignored. Dad's company was on the brink of collapse. Mind if I join you? Charles Wellington asked, settling into the chair beside me and loosening his bow tie. The vultures are circling pretty obviously tonight. I nodded toward Amanda, who was practically hanging off an investment banker's arm. They still think money's about who you know, not what you know, I said. Charles lowered his voice. Speaking of knowing things, have you told him yet? About VXG, and about how his company is 3 months from bankruptcy? His words landed like stones. I watched my father laugh at something Ryan had said, his smile tight and forced, the weight of his company's failing health visible in the new lines on his face, the faint slump in his posture. He built this company from nothing, I said quietly, my eyes fixed on him. While Mom raised us, he worked 18-hour days, determined to give us everything he never had, but somewhere along the way, he forgot that success isn't just about valuables, it's about values. And now, I exhaled, now, his CFO has been cooking the books for years, his market share is crumbling, and my dear siblings, they're too busy planning charity galas to notice the ship is sinking. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. The daughter they'd tried to exclude from the party could buy the hotel hosting it, while the company they all celebrated was slowly imploding. My phone buzzed again. Singapore office confirms Parker Industries acquisition complete. You now control 60% of your father's market sector. Charles raised an eyebrow at me. Time to make your move. I stood, smoothing down my modest dress. Time to save the family business, whether they like it or not. I walked to the stage, the eyes of the room following me. As soon as Amanda caught sight of me, her eyes flashed panic. She made a frantic slashing motion across her throat, trying to signal me to stay in the shadows. I took the microphone, my voice cutting through the chatter. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, drawing the attention of the room. I believe it's time for tonight's special presentation. Dad looked up, his confusion clear. This wasn't part of the program. Most of you know Edward Harrison as a brilliant businessman, a pillar of New York finance. I clicked the remote, and the ballroom screens flickered to life. What you might not know is how close he came to losing everything this year. The room fell into stunned silence. Ryan's drink stopped midway to his mouth. Amanda's skin drained of color. Dad, I continued, locking eyes with him, your CFO has been falsifying reports for the last 3 years. Your market share isn't growing, it's collapsing. Based on my calculations, you have less than 90 days before the truth becomes impossible to hide. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Dad's face went pale. But tonight, I said, clicking the remote again, isn't about problems, it's about solutions, and about family. The screens shifted to show a complex web of companies, my companies, all linked to one central point, Harrison Global, my father's life's work. Over the past 5 years, I said, while some of us were busy buying designer labels and hosting charity galas, I was building something else, something that could save what you built, Dad. Understanding dawned slowly on his face. VXG Global, he whispered, his voice cracking, that was you. I nodded, along with about 30 other companies. While Amanda and Ryan were busy planning parties, I was planning a rescue. The screens showed the next phase, a full restructuring plan for Harrison Global, backed by the full power of my corporate empire. The merger announcement on Monday isn't just another business deal, I explained, it's a lifeline. We're not acquiring Harrison Global, I said, steady and clear, we're saving it, modernizing it, turning it into what it always could have been. Amanda rushed forward, panic written across her perfect face. This is absurd, Dad. You can't let her. Let her what? Charles rose beside me, his tone sharp as glass. Rescue the company you were too busy spending into the ground to realize was failing? The room stilled. All eyes turned to Dad, who raised one hand, not with fury, but weariness. He looked at me with a father's confusion, curiosity, and something deeper. How? He asked, quietly. How did you know? How did you build all this? I met his gaze. I learned from you, the real you, not the man who measured success in social invites and quarterly bonuses, but the one who built something from nothing. I watched how you saw opportunity where others saw risk. I just did it without the spotlight, without the suits, without needing anyone's permission. Behind me, the screens displayed the final slide, a restructured Harrison Global at the heart of a revitalized, future-facing empire. You always said success isn't about looking rich, I continued, it's about building something that lasts. Some of us just took that lesson more seriously than others. Ryan stepped forward, his voice breaking under the weight of reality. But we're the ones who stayed in finance, who followed the family path. No, I turned to him, you followed the appearance of the path, I followed its purpose. Then I looked back to Dad, and something flickered in his eyes, regret, yes, but also pride. The gift I wanted to give you tonight isn't just saving your company, I said, it's proving that at least one of your children learned what really matters. A beat of silence, then the room erupted, not with polite applause, but something deeper, applause that echoed with recognition, with respect, with the shifting of old assumptions into something real. A father's legacy, not just protected, but transformed. A family business, not just salvaged, but reborn. Amanda and Ryan stood stunned, the illusion of superiority melting off them in real time. The sister they tried to ban from the party had just revealed herself as the force shaping their future. I raised my champagne glass, meeting my father's eyes. Happy birthday, Dad, your company is safe, your legacy is stronger than ever, and your poor daughter, I smiled, she's doing just fine. Dad stepped onto the stage, ignoring the sea of whispers around us. He took the microphone with a shaking hand, eyes glassy. I was so blind, he said, voice low and raw, so obsessed with appearances, I forgot to look at what really matters. It's not too late, I told him gently, not for any of us. Monday's announcement isn't just about business, it's about family, this time, with our priorities finally in the right place. The party shifted around us, no longer a gala to impress investors, but a celebration of second chances, of earned respect, of clarity. I watched Amanda and Ryan flounder, their carefully curated world unraveling. They had mistaken my silence for failure, my modesty for weakness. And now, they were learning the truth. The sister they once dismissed, judged by her dress, her distance, her refusal to play their game, was the one holding the future in her hands. Because sometimes, the sweetest victory isn't proving people wrong. It's showing them what they could have seen, if only they'd looked beyond the surface. As I stood there, in the same simple black dress they'd mocked, I realized something. True wealth has nothing to do with what you wear to the party. It's what you build while everyone else is too busy partying to notice.